Good day, everyone. Robbie here with Splash Painting. You are watching a special coffee with Contractors. I am at Beans and Brews with one of my very good friends. We are here discussing the hidden gem of working with a realtor.
I'm Anna Parker with Utah Key Real Estate. My brand is Park Place Realty.
And you kick ass at what you do.
Thanks.
So
do you.
Thank you. So we just actually finished your house on a personal level. We just painted your house, so thank you for trusting our business to do it. But before we were building a friendship through B&I Group.
Right.
We are neighbors. We live in an HOA community that's very...
it's unique.
It's very unique to a lot of the nation. I don't know. I know there's one other community like us in Texas.
I've heard there's one in Arizona, but when I researched it, it wasn't anything like us.
Yeah, no, it's a little different. But let's talk about this. So for those that are new to Contractors, I'm a painter. I'm the proprietor of Splash Painting here in Utah. I love painting. I love everything that deals with painting. When I first started my business, I didn't know how to market myself. I wanted to spend thousands of dollars that I didn't have to market myself. But I was lucky and I got in touch with a property manager who was a realtor that we rented our house from, and I realized what that gem was. And then talking with you, we discussed that having a painter, but an electrician. Well, tell us, what are the main things when you're walking through a home with a customer where we're either selling or getting ready to buy a home that you're looking at for your customer?
So typically, both ways. Usually they're thinking about contractors when they're going to list their home because they're trying to get it back to the shape it was in when they bought it.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of people who are finishing their basements because they want to get full value out of their home.
Which is weird to me that you'd finish your basement, but you said it works.
A lot of people do it. In fact, we're finishing our basement and we just painted our house and everybody's like, are you guys moving? They think we're moving because we're making our house what we want it to be. That's what most people do. They're just, their home is usually their greatest asset and they're trying to make the most out of that so that they can move up. So
you did a tier job. So painting is the very first thing because you walk into homes and that's probably the first thing you look at. Then carpet, tile, flooring, maybe cabinetries, and then granted, like when we bought our home, you actually almost sold our house before we moved back to Utah.
I'm so glad I didn't. It was one of my closest friends. I wanted her to live like down the street from me. But this worked out.
It's a gem. Like that house was perfect. When we walked in, we knew. But the main thing that sold us was the tile work and the countertops.
Yes.
So those are things that your customers are looking at.
Yes.
So if you're a contractor, this is what you want to hear down and listen to so the way that I usually do it, the way that I've done it when I work with realtors, I have set pricing. So I give my realtors a special pricing because you guys are always, I refer to as setting the table. You're going to set that table because if I can teach you my bid process, when you're walking through a home that same day with that customer who says, Anna, I can't find a painter, when is this going to be done? Your answer is?
ASAP. I know when. Usually their question is, how much is this going to cost me and how long is it going to take? Because when they are ready to list their home, they're like, we're ready to list our home.
Yeah.
We want our money now. We want to move now. So they're always worried that you're going to be a month out or whatever. And I just, if you and I know what your process is, then I know exactly what to tell him. He'll be here in 2 days. This is how much this costs. Honestly, price is always their biggest question mark because they're like, well, they look at it like it's a financial asset, right? So the more you take away, the lower their net is. When
you talk to your customers, can you find a value though when you're saying, look, this house may cost, I mean, on average, you haven't worked with me, but the painters you do work with, like on average, you can say, look, it's about a $2,000 job. Well, I don't know what your average is on it, but how do you translate that into value when you're selling that to them?
So there actually is a value placed on that. So when people do what I tell them to do with staging, their homes sell 80% faster for 20% more.
Yeah.
And part of that, the biggest part of that, is the interior paint.
Yeah. Because that's the first thing that homeowners notice.
Yeah.
Because if you're a good realtor, when you walk in, like ours that we bought our home from was really good. He says, don't look at the furniture, don't look at the house, just look at the color of the walls and where your items are going to go.
Yeah.
And that changed everything for me when I heard that because that was a really good.
And most people don't work with realtors who say that. They come in and they have zero imagination and they're like yesterday I was showing a house and it was like the furniture was all wrong and my clients were like, I can't imagine that we could live here. Why? I don't know, this room feels weird. And I'm like, well, you have a giant overstuffed linear couch taking up the entire room. You guys have a love seat and a sofa. Anyway, people don't have the imagination that you think they do.
But they need to be like you.
Well,
This is for realtors as well, because you not only do you do a good job, you're an influencer in your market.
Yeah.
And explain that so other people kind of get what that means.
Okay, so one thing that I want to touch on while we're here is don't just work with a realtor, work with an influencer realtor. So there's an actual personality test that like everybody uses. It's a Tony Robbins test. It's called the DISC test. And what you want is someone who's high I, which is influencer. And that just means that's not an Instagram influencer or social media influencer. That's somebody who is out in their community. They're known, they're well liked. The people come to them for advice and they take their advice.
Yeah.
So people like you who get to know a lot of people and then they go to you and say, hey, Robbie, who do you know for this, right? You probably get calls all the time. Oh, you just painted my house, but who do you know a plumber, right?
Yeah.
Because you know, people know that you know. You're a high influencer.
Yeah.
So you want to work with realtors like that, but you also want to work with realtors like that because they know the other realtors who aren't influencers and they can feed your business, right?
Yeah.
Like I have realtors who ask me questions, hey Anna, who do you use for this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Robbie, splash painting.
But you don't look at that as a competition, which I love.
No.
It's not a community over competition. That's one of my favorite hashtags. And I think that's great. And that part of that is joining a BNI group, me knowing who people are. Because if you're a business owner, we've all had this experience. If you're the person doing the bid, even if they're not selling their home, I get the question like, "Hey, do you know anyone that does floors? Do you know anybody that does this?" Even, "Hey, why are we painting?" You know, I do ask, "Why are you painting your house?" "Oh, we're looking to sell." "Okay, yeah, go find Anna. Here's her number." So you're building that, but back to the contractor side. So when you have painters and contractors in your pocket, you can set that table for them. And then for the business owner, like in my position as a contractor, I know that's set. So one thing that I haven't done yet, we're getting ready to because my crew is so new, is that once you and I have walked through some build, because the thing is, and I would never tell you don't have one painter. You need to have like 3 or 4. You need to have 3 or 4 tiles. Because we get booked out. Like I'm booking 2020 for exteriors right now.
Totally.
So it's that thing, but you can, as a business owner.
How can people wait that long? Like,
They
I
can't.
was dying.
I
was
know.
dying that 4 weeks that I had to wait.
She had to wait 4 weeks for me to paint her house, but it was Mother Nature.
Yeah, it was the rain. But still.
But with that being said, I'm looking to build a small crew of 2 or 3 guys and gals that can come into that place and paint in those 3 to 5 days that you have. But what we've discussed though is using the same color. You're going to go in and tell these customers how they're going to paint.
I have an interior color that is the most
well-liked
color. I want to call it agreeable gray because that's what I call it.
We use agreeable gray or realistic
I don't think that's
beige.
what it is. I think it's agreeable gray, but it's at 50% pigmentation.
We are not going to get into the percentages on this.
That's why I didn't want to bring this up here. I knew you wouldn't like it.
No, but that is a really good color because that's what I use in Reno was either agreeable gray or realistic beige.
I know.
Because if you're a painter and you don't know this, it pulls the blues and greens out of the paint. So whatever color furniture that homeowner has in his staging, it actually complements.
Right.
And so if you have a red couch like we do, but the person has a blue couch, they can really envision that color.
Right, exactly.
So good that you're staging
back to
it
what
right.
you were saying about community though, right? So you understand that I have to run my business and you're like, Anna, go ahead and have 3 painters in your background. And I feel the same way like about realtors. Of course, I go up against other realtors in my listing presentation. And there are people who don't want my style of marketing, right? I'm heavy on social media. I put all my money into social media. I run an open house and I'm a really good communicator. But there are other people who are like, I don't know what their expertise is, but it's something else. So when they come and they present their listing presentation, it's totally different from mine. So I could see why someone would choose someone else over me because they want something different.
You had me at donuts. She serves donuts at her open houses down the street, and my wife and I are always like, should we go down there and see Anna because she has donuts?
We should. Because my girlfriend owns Jack's Donuts right here. Yeah.
So again, some of this may not make sense, but this is all community. These are all business owners that we know through our friendship. So the other thing that I want to hit on is, as you've hired me, let's say you hire Splash, or let's say you hire Granite City Tile Work to do the tile in that house. When that person who bought that home, that new owner, they may ask you or the other owner, like, hey, who did the tile work? Oh, it was Granite City. Okay, great. I'm going to call them because I love the kitchen and I love this bathroom, but now I want this is my new home. I want my master bathroom to match. Well, then Granite City just got more money, or the painter or the plumber, the electrician. Who did the painting? Oh, Splash did it. They're really good at doing painting. They also do, like, we do Pinterest style design. I don't get a lot of requests for it, but I do very intricate designs in interiors.
Yeah, like your own kitchen.
Yes, like my own kitchen.
So, well, one of the things too is, like, it's not just for my listings, but I have buyers too that go into a house and they're like, well, this, the house might be priced well because it needs paint, it needs carpet or whatever. So right away, as soon as they move in, they want that painter to come in and make the house what they are looking for, right?
Yeah, exactly. What I want to say though on this is, I know we're kind of all over at this, but the way that we're going to do ours work, because we're going to start doing some work together as far as the splash painting and the realtor side, is that I'm going to go about 3 homes with you. We're going to walk through, because I have set pricing. For me, I don't measure my homes. I go into a home and say, okay, how long is this going to take? And there's a whole other Instagram video I've done on this on YouTube and Instagram, but how long is this job going to take? What is the product? Am I painting walls, ceiling, doors? So we're going to walk through. If you find a realtor, especially an influencer, walk through homes with them as the business owner. You're not giving them anything secretive, because they're not going to, you're not disclosing it. And you also know you're getting a better deal. Like, I may go to a person who finds my website and says, I want a painter. I'm going to go through and give them my bid. But if I know I'm going to get 3 or 4 or 5 jobs from you a month, it makes sense, because then I can have my crew go in, and that crew always has work. And a little secret, it's actually a really good way to teach new people how to paint.
What do you mean?
Because it's interior work, it's rolling and cutting, and you have to be very clean. And so when I hire new people, I really try to throw them on interiors first. It's hard because we're primarily exteriors, but when we're doing interiors, that's when I do most of my rehiring. Is that because I can be there on the job site in an enclosed area and do that. But we're going to walk through and do it. But like I've kind of told you, and these aren't factual numbers, or these are not actual numbers, but like I'll look at a kitchen. So when you walk through a home, I can say, look, my kitchens are $250 to $350 a piece. So when you walk in, you're already calculating. So when that homeowner says, hey, within 10 minutes, you can tell them, all right, you're looking about $2,500. That includes all your paint. I'll know tomorrow what his schedule's like. And so, and that goes, let's go through the list of people you would deal with. A painter, anyone that does flooring and tiling, electrician, a framer, because you do have framers, drywallers, mudders, window people. I've seen a lot of people replace their windows, which is weird.
Window replacement.
Window cleaners, even house cleaners.
Oh yeah.
A good house cleaner for staging. Make sure you find a good one though. I'll tell you right now from experience, find a really good house cleaner.
There's one in our neighborhood who like gets all the business, and she is terrible. She's terrible.
She does yeah.
I think she.
Yeah. But
I mean, literally, my client was like, I don't think she even came. Like, there's nothing cleaner than when I left.
I just say the cleaning is important because smells. I'm a smell person. So when I walk in a home, if it's not clean, and that's you do that for your customers. I've walked through one of your homes that you've done. It was impeccable. The furniture, you could tell the furniture was moved because the indent of the carpet. But those things, I can't think of anyone else. Garage door people. Even power washers, companies do power washers. There's at least 10 companies or 10 contractors that we named that you should be reaching out. So if you're a new business owner or you're looking to grow your business, find an influencer.
Well, but also here's why. Because you want people asking you who to use, because then when they go to paint their house, they're going to refer you out because you're the person who you know everybody. When you become an influencer, you also you're not just the answer to all their questions. You become the solution to all of their friends' questions. Anyone who asks them, well, I need help painting my interior, my exterior, whatever. They've asked you a million questions about a plumber or a tile guy or whatever. They wouldn't recommend anyone but you.
No, they wouldn't.
Right.
And the last thing I want to say on this to kind of wrap it up is, don't just throw an answer out. I hate when I've worked with realtors before that'll be like, oh yeah, the house will be ready, or I think this is what their budget is.
Go get the right answer.
Know for certain. Don't just pull things out of your arse because it sounds fun, because that will ruin a relationship. And that's the other thing too. I know we're talking about the good things about it, but if you're working with a realtor and you give them a time and a date, you have to stick to that.
Yeah.
The reason being is that this person told the homeowner, hey, on Friday the 13th, they're going to start.
Yeah.
They're going to be done on Wednesday, the whatever date that is, from the 15th, they're going to be done. You have to stick to those timelines because it's called the teardrop effect. I'm hitting you, you're hitting that customer, then that customer's hitting that new buyer who's thinking they're closing, and then grandma, grandpa are coming to help move, aunt and uncles.
Yeah.
It's just this, it can be a really big cluster if you don't do it the right way. So stick.
Well,
your
can we talk
scheduling.
for a second too, though, about my house? So when Robbie painted my house, I had a lot of people telling me, "Hey, that your house looks so great. What do you think?" And I was like, they've never been. I've never worked with a painter more professional who cleaned up after themselves, who had like attention to detail, and those are things that go a long way. So when you are choosing a realtor to work with or another contractor to work with, make sure that you choose someone who's really great at their business because they are a reflection of your business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I call it setting the table. You know, I appreciate the kind words for Splash. That's one thing I teach my crew is we don't leave bottles around. We don't.
Yeah.
You know, we I don't even want you to know that we're there.
Every edge is perfect. Every edge is perfect, and I mean. That's something you might not notice right away, but as you live in the house, it's still going to start bothering you that like that trim didn't get done perfectly, and
And last thing, if you're a realtor watching this, do please, and this is coming from a painter, don't hire someone to just come in and paint a wall. It doesn't work. It never looks right. After 2 weeks, it's gonna look as if the north wall was painted and east wall.
Yeah.
You've probably seen this before. We don't do that kind of painting, and I recommend it to any other paint company out there. Community over competition.
Right.
Do the right thing, and it's not to get more money.
right.
It's not. That is
It's
not
a reflection of your business.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about you is somebody asks you to come in to give them a bid. You're not going to say, well, this is the bid for the kitchen and we can leave the rest because you want the business. Robbie's going to say, you have to do it all. And if you don't want to do it all, I'm not your guy.
Yeah, and I have no problem doing that because it's just not proper business. So
that's a whole different business model.
Yeah, it is. It is. I appreciate it. You taking some time with me, joining me for Coffee with Contractors. I will. Where can people find you if they want to follow you?
On Instagram, I'm Park Place Realty UT for Utah.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you how to build a good network. There's a few things that you can do as a contractor. LinkedIn is my favorite place to find realtors. You guys are everywhere on LinkedIn. We are part of an HOA group, so we have our own personal neighborhood daybreak page. That's where it is.
Facebook pages are huge.
And next door. We should do another one on marketing, on the aspect of building your network through social marketing, because that's
it's
a whole
huge.
hour
It's changed
conversation.
my business completely.
Yeah. So we'll do round 2. If you guys have questions, I'll put your link in the page so you can find her, ask her. Especially even if you're just selling. I know you're really open to people asking you questions because what's 5 minutes of your day if it helps? If it helps get that customer another $20,000,
Totally.
great. It's more money for you, more money to pay the painter and the plumber. We like money.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Dirty hands, clean money.
Yes, dirty hands, clean money.
I need a hat.
You do. Go to troll.com. Use my code.
Okay.
I have to give you my code. I don't know what it is right now. Have a great day, everybody.